Is the comic market crashing? There's only one way to find out.
Watch this video.
Watch this video. Welcome back, Gainers, to another incredible, exciting, fantastic episode of ComicGains. And if you're new to the show, I'm Adam.
I'm Zach, and this is the Princess, Her Royal Highness, looking very lovely, just like usual. She's doing the princess wave. You do too. Bow down respect. And of course, as always, there's the Coco Dog.
Comic Coco making it out. All right, guys. Today is Monday, and we have a brand new drop list for you for the month of June, which is the month we're in, so it makes sense we'd be doing that. But there's been a lot of question lately, like how healthy is the comic book market? Is a lot of books, a lot of expensive books dropping in price? Is this good? Is it bad? You know, obviously when you have a collection of books and it lowers in value, it's not necessarily a good thing, but if you're looking to pick up new books, it might be a good thing for you. So we're testing a bunch of books that were hot last year in the month of June for a particular reason. And we'll see how far they've dropped in price and maybe the reason why they did. And it kind of, you know, some of these books are the good testers for the market, healthiness of the market. And we'll kind of explain that as we get into these books and dig a little bit deeper. We like digging deeper, right?
Yes, we do it all the time. And we dig deeper, not only in comics, but in drinks. So, got here, stole this from, actually Princess gave it to me, but I'm going to say I stole it. It makes it sound awesome. It's a Philippine brand, Guava. Goyan.
Goyan?
Goyavi? Whatever. I can't read. Well, I'm going to try it. It's vitamin C rich. Not from concentrate, it says. I don't believe. I'm
trying to get vitamin C rich.
There's rich. And then there's vitamin rich.
That's funny.
That's pretty good.
You get like an orange hanging from a gold chain on your necklace. Right.
That's how I want to live my life.
Vitamin rich, sucker.
You can be rich.
Ooh,
or you can be vitamin rich.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know how else you can get vitamin rich? Hanging out with us on Whatnot. We get the best deals in comic books, dollar starts, 30-second auctions. I think the princess is on this weekend. We'll find out though. Stay tuned. She will possibly. All right, guys. If you're new to the drop list, this is a segment we used to do pretty regularly, and now we've adjusted it to only once a month because we don't always want to just talk about book pricing. It's not always my favorite topic. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't, but it's important to understand the health of the comic book market. So what the Gains crew does is we get together, scour the internet for hot books from last year in the month of June. And we get those prices and we compare them to today's prices and we try to figure out the reason that they've gone down in price. And we've compiled this list. This list today is 6 books. Usually it's 5. We love you so much that we put an extra bonus book. We will count them down from the least drop to the most drop. And the slab master, Mr. Zach, will give you his informed opinion on which book you should maybe go after. And some of these books, sometimes you should kind of forget that they ever existed. You know, there's a reason like they just get hot once and then they go right straight into the wood chipper. Please don't put your books in a wood chipper, though. That's not a good thing.
No.
You don't want to turn them into mulch. Okay. All right, let's jump right into it with the number 6 book of the month of June. We got New Mutants 87 from 1990. And this is Rob Liefeld and Todd McFarlane doing the cover together. So a joint effort. And you kind of see who did what on the cover. It's also written by Louise Simonson, who did a lot of good work on New Mutants till the book was taken over from her by Rob Liefeld. I think when it became like, what is that, like 99 or something?
Something like that.
Yeah, X-Force 99 or whatever the number was. That's neither here nor there, but really good cover. Awesome, iconic book. Why is this an important book? Well, it is the first full appearance of Cable, also known as Nathan Summers. You do get to see him as a baby early on in an X-Men book, but that's not as important as get to see him in the full form. And if you don't know this character, he's the son of Scott Summers and Madeline Pryor, which we got a pretty good how that worked out in the new X-Men 97 cartoon, which Cable showed up and was pretty cool. You got the, how the whole rundown. He is a character from the future who travels back in time to change his like crappy present day by fixing things in the past. He's usually an enemy of like Apocalypse and some other people, as well as Strife, who is like a clone of him without the without the disease he's gone. This character has been cool for a long time. Everyone's kind of liked Cable, I think, for a pretty long time. It's been a pretty awesome key. He showed up in the movies in Deadpool 2, played by Josh Brolin, who did a really good job. I personally didn't think Deadpool 2 was as good as Deadpool 1, maybe because it just didn't have that like original feeling to it as the first one did, but it was definitely an awesome movie nonetheless. Just Deadpool 1 I thought was slightly better. Why is there spec going on right now? Or I guess last year? There's actually spec going on this year. That's why it's also the least drop book. But we've got Deadpool 3 coming out soon, which was recently changed to...
Wolverine and Deadpool.
Wolverine and Deadpool. They changed the name. Or Deadpool, Wolverine, Deadpool. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. But they've interviewed Josh Brolin multiple times, and he has said to everybody, no, I'm not in this movie. They didn't ask me to be in it. I'm not going to be in it. Stop asking me those questions. Well, he kind of let it slip up on an E-Talk channel where they were like, again, are you going to be in Wolverine Deadpool 3 portraying Cable again? And he's like, well, I don't remember. I don't know. I don't remember if I was in that movie or not. So I don't think I am, but I don't remember shooting it. But he did say he got a phone call from Ryan Reynolds congratulating him on Dune 2's success. And also he said, thanks for the recent work you helped me out with, buddy. So... I don't know if I'm pretty sure we're going to see him because he did a really good job as Cable. And I don't know. This is a great book. I've had one in the past. I need to get another one because it is actually pairs really well with first Deadpool. You got to have first Deadpool and first Cable. They go really well together.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
More importantly, though, is it cheap enough to pick up or is it not quite?
Oh, prices a year ago. We're going to go back in time to a year ago. Haha. It was $510. Now it's present time. Hasn't moved very much. It's $495. It's a 3% drop. Hardly anything. But the range is what I'm gonna be very interesting. It was as low as $325.
Yeah, it was recently really cheap.
Yeah. Recently really cheap, and as high as $600. Average sale is $470. There's 14,439 total graded. 2,256. Are CGC 9.8, so that's 15%, so that's a pretty good range right there.
For a new book, too, a modern book. 1990, and it only has a 15%. That's weird.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. There are a couple of 9.9s. Not that many. There's 3 Universal and 2 Signature series. I'm hoping those signatures are done by the man, the legend, McFarlane, and not Liefeld.
No, you could get them both. I'd get them both.
Just my preference.
I'd get them both.
Just my preference. Might not be yours, but this is mine. This is a pretty good book. I would wait to buy this book because it's on the high right now. Give it 2-3 months, maybe 4 months after the movie's done. You know, it's going to probably go back down to a $400 for 9.8. That's probably when I would get it if you're wanting this book. Wait, and you get to pay less for it. You get those dividends. Anyways. That's what I think about it. Wait a little bit, then buy. Wait and buy.
There you go. You heard it here first. But what are you going to hear next? Book number 5. Let's travel to a faraway land and check in on our friend Conan the Barbarian. Issue number 23. I believe this has been on the show before, on the Dropless Show. We've worked on this book. But 1973, you got Gil Kane and Roy Thomas, the great Roy Thomas, writing a lot of really good Marvel stories in the 70s. And why is this book important? Well, it's the first appearance of Red Sonja. And there's been some controversy over the years whether or not this is a cameo or her first full appearance. Some people would say issue 24 is the first full. She's definitely on the cover, but she does show up in 20 panels in this book.
Yeah, that's a full
appearance. I think that's pretty much it. Once you hit double digits, you're definitely at the full appearance, and that's double digits. So we'll go with the full appearance. I think the comic market has said this is the obviously price wise they label this one the first appearance. I actually like both covers. I mean, Red Sonja's on 24, and it looks maybe a little bit better, but the iconic artwork on this one is actually really good as well.
Oh, yeah, it's a good cover.
It's a very good cover. Yeah, and why has Red Sonja been important in the more recent days? Well, there's movie hype. We've been talking about a Red Sonja movie for the last couple of years. when they announced in 2022 that they were starting the filming, and it's going to be led by actress Matilda Lutz, who hasn't really done that much. She was in she starred in the third movie of the Ring trilogy.
Okay.
I didn't really know there was a third movie of the Ring.
I did not
She's
know.
in it. It actually looks kind of decent, so I may have to watch that. But the cover art for this Red Sonja looks pretty amazing. So she looks like she could do a really good job. I'm excited for it. As you know, they did make a Red Sonja movie a long time ago in 1985, played by the great Bridget Nielsen, and also had Arnold Schwarzenegger as well. He played an unnamed barbarian character. He was not allowed to be Conan in the movie, so he was like just some guy that looked like Conan and act like Conan, but had a different name because they couldn't get the rights to it. Also fantastic. Red Sonja is a cool character. Over the years, I've known if some of her recent stories that have come out from IDW, sometimes they're actually good. A lot of people buy them for the good covers that are on them, but every once in a while she does put out a good story. She's kind of stayed in relevancy along with Vampirella. You know, them two kind of together have remained popular over the years, even though like their main story has kind of puttered out a little bit. You know, I don't want to like talk too much on it because I'm not an expert on her current storylines. There may be some people that have read it and really like it. I think Gail Simone wrote a recent one that was pretty good. I could be wrong, but I think it was Gail Simone. But anyway, is it a good time to get that Red Sonja, the sexy lady in the barbarian land?
Yeah, it's a pretty good book. It's a pretty dang good book. Price a year ago for this redhead awesome book was $434 for a CGC 9.4. There's a lot less sales on a 9.8, but I do have some information on it. Now it's $384. So it's dropped a little bit, not too much, just 11%. Range is $276 to $715. Average sale is $443. Very volatile book. A 9.8 sells for somewhere between $2,640 to $1,943. Pretty big jump right there. There's 2,304 total graded. 53 of them are 9.8s. So it kind of makes sense that there's not that many sales. It's about 2% of total graded. So yeah, this book right here, I would say is not a horrible time to buy it. You probably want to buy the other cover with it. Yeah. But you know, about $400 for a 9.4 of this awesome cover, not bad deal at all. I'd consider it. Honestly, with this book, I don't really think you need it to be, like, unless it's a 9.8, you don't, or unless it's a 9.8 slab, or you think you could get a 9.8, you don't really need this book slabbed. I think that this one is, I rarely say this, but this one's more enjoyable in the raw condition than the slab. I
can agree with that. I can agree with that.
It's a lot better.
Yeah, it's definitely a good time. I know years past when I wanted to get this book, it was way out of my price range. Yeah. And in the more recent, like past 2 or 3 years, definitely has become much more affordable. I mean, it used to be crazy expensive. Even for like a raw copy, you were paying $200 to $300 for just a mid-grade, you know. Yeah. Nothing like that now. So it's, you know, obviously the market has gone down. Yeah. Just a wee bit. Actually, quite a bit more. All right, let's jump into a big boy book. We don't have this big boy book, unfortunately, but Amazing Spider-Man issue number 50. 1967, Silver Age goodness, John Romita Sr. and the great Stan Lee on this fantastic, iconic book. I would put this somewhere in the range with like Fantastic Four 48 or 49, almost to that, probably to that level. I don't know if you consider if they're like an equivalent level books or not. You know, almost that same time, you know. Yeah, it's a very similar, but no. It's a very iconic cover, but I think I kind of like the FF ones a little bit better, but you know, that's just me though. They're probably similar. Is just you. No, I'm just kidding. But if you're asking yourself, what is issue number 50? Well, it's the first appearance of Kingpin Wilson Fisk, and it's an iconic Spider-Man No More storyline where he gives up the costume after he's just tired of dealing with a bunch of crap. And Spider-Man's has a very good rogues gallery compared to a lot of other people. Definitely up there on the same level as Batman as having some of the best villains out there. Yeah. But Kingpin may rank above above them all in some form or fashion. There's definitely some good ones. You got Doc Ock, Green Goblin, but Kingpin is a really good villain, and that's probably why they use him so much in a lot of iterations of Spider-Man. He was one of the better villains in the cartoon, in the 90s cartoon that came out, as well as they used him in like the Miles movie. He's the villain in the first movie. And I just think he's more relatable. Obviously, he is a villain that runs like a crime family and does a bunch of nasty stuff, but he's like down deep. He's a family man, and he's trying to like do what's right by his family. And he does have some love and respect for certain people, which makes him more relatable to some of like the other good villains, like a Thanos or something like that, or like a Killmonger, which is probably why people like him so much. There's been a lot of hype over the past few years with him. We got Vincent D'Onofrio that played him in the original Daredevil Netflix series, which killed it. Awesome actor in everything, but did a really good job as Kingpin. We've seen him in, I think now it's going to be 3 updated ones. We had the Echo show, as well as Hawkeye, which was even better, and then you also had the new Daredevil. He's going to be reprising the role in Daredevil Born Again. We'll see how that turns out. I know a lot of people weren't happy of how they portrayed the character in the last series. Hopefully they're able to spin that a little. They made him like a little too cryy, a little too weak. But that's why I said he's a very like emotional guy. And that's what makes him more relatable. So you can't get too angry at that. I think just overall that show was kind of a big miss, but I don't think it was his fault at all. I don't know. This is a book that I may be considering getting in 2025 once I hear the numbers from Zach.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or maybe this year.
Oh, who knows?
Who knows? Kingpin knows, right?
Right. Kingpin always knows. So, he was Kingpin of crime. He ruled the city with an iron fist a year ago. For 8.5, you can pick one up for 4,320. Now, his grip has loosened at $3,658. The range is 2,861 to as high as 4,560. Average sell is 3,700. It's about a 15% drop. Pretty good drop. There was a 9.8 sell in 2022. Very hard to find a 9.8 sell for $100,000.
Good Lord!
And in 2011, it was like 25,000. So it quadrupled in price. Pretty crazy. There's 7,743 total graded. 8 of them are 9.8. So that's 1%, less than 1%. I say 1%. I round up when I want to. Fantastic book. I think over a period of time, this book will always go up in price. Over a period, some years it will go down, some years ago. But I think overall, this book's always, as long as there's a comic market, it's always going to go up, because that's one of the iconic books. It's an iconic cover and it's a good key appearance. I just think 48 or 49 would be better. Anyways, FF3. But yeah, it's a great book. Yeah. If you're a Spider-Man fan, this is a must book to have in your collection.
Let's get a poll from the comic fam, the comic gainsters. Leave a comment down below. What do you think? Better or equivalent or worse than FF? We'll say FF48 or 49, whichever one you like better. Although like Silver Surfer might be a little bit cheating because that's a hero character. You know how that goes. Yeah. All right, let's stick with the web shooting and swing over to Amazing Spider-Man number 4. But let's talk volume 3. 2014, Humberto Ramos and Dan Slott. Fantastic story. Mm-hmm. This is the first appearance of what? Cindy Moon, also known as
Silk.
The Silk. Silk or the Silk? Silk?
The Silk.
The Silk. This is a really good run. I recommend everybody read this story. When they redid the numbers, starting it back over at 1, Humberto Ramos is probably one of the better Spider-Man artists to ever draw him, in my opinion, but a lot of people like the way he did the artwork as well. As good Dan Slott story. This leads into a bunch of cool arcs. You get the Cindy Moon storyline, which then leads you into like Spider-Verse and a bunch of cool stuff that goes along with it. But Cindy Moon is a really cool character. She, they kind of like retcon her in where everybody has forgotten about her, and she runs into the Ezekiel character, and he tells her, you need to hide out in this bunker, which he does the same thing to Peter and Peter doesn't go in the bunker, but apparently Cindy Moon does go in the bunker and hides out in there for like her entire life. And then when Peter remembers during Original Sin that she's in there, he like sets her free and is like, hey, we should be friends. Everything's cool. Morlun's dead. And then we find out with Spider-Verse that Morlun's not dead and is actually chasing. Then when she gets out, he chases after her to kill her, which is what Ezekiel was guarding her from to begin with. She's a really fun character. Her and Peter have this weird like sexual pheromone chemistry together, which is really fun when you're like reading it. It's like when they're next to each other, they like want to bang like all the time, and they're like in the middle of doing stuff, and they're like, let's stop and make out, which is kind of fun, and it's just really interesting. And leading up to this story as well, in issues 1, 2, and 3, you get these weird hints that there's like a girl that's like in the bunker, and you just kind of get these weird glances, like her legs, or like she's looking at a screen, but you don't really get any kind of like exact of who she is. So once she gets out, she's really fun, and like I said, she's a main pivotal character in the Spider-Verse as well. So why was this important? Sony's trying to like capitalize on all their Spider-related characters since the success of Into the Spider-Verse. I think all of their other stuff has not been that successful, and with Madam Web, basically tanking or making a duty in the bed, they had to cancel a lot of their stuff. They were planning a Silk, I think, movie or TV show through Sony. They decided to cancel that. It's probably a good idea. I don't know how they're going to use this character in live action because, like, the regular MCU doesn't have rights to her, and Sony has been doing a really bad job at all their movies, so it's almost better that they don't use her and just destroy the character. Because if they make a bad movie, this book's going to, like, go even further in the toilet than it already is. And in my personal opinion, I don't think Marvel's done a very good job using Silk in the comics as of recently. So hopefully they're able to fix that and like change things up. Her original story is amazing, but then nothing really after that has been that good. So we'll see. She's a fun character. Dan Slott is still writing Spider-Man, so maybe he'll pull her back in. They'll do a fun story with her and Spider-Boy together. I don't know. That'd be cool. Little Bailey, little Cindy. I don't know. Maybe that's just me thinking that. I do have a bolo for you guys on this one. Be on the lookout. My man Zach will tell you all 5 books right now. I know he knows them off the top of his head. What are they, Zach?
Okay, so there's cover A. There's a 1 in 10 Ramos variant, right? Ratio. Mm-hmm. There is the second print, which is the same as cover A.
Limited to only 5,172 copies, too.
Oh, yeah.
In case you didn't know.
I didn't know that, actually. But it's really rare, as you can see. And then there's this J. Scott Campbell. 3, I don't even think Black Cat's in the book. But there's 3
she's
black.
In the book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. I don't think she's in that issue, though.
She's she's definitely in issue 5.
Yeah, she's in issue story. 5, but I don't think she's in issue 4. But it shows a very beautiful Black Cat cover, and there's 3 of them. There's the color version, there's a black and white version, and then there's the negative version. The negative is the rarest of them all, but it's also the least expensive for some reason. And I guess I could see why. It's kind of like, it's different. It's too fancy. Anyways, very good. A lot of great books.
All right. Thank you, Zach. Mm-hmm. But, again, what's the price? Is it a good time to get Cindy Moon? I don't have this book, and I want to add it to my list for next year, so I may be on the hunt. I need it. I got literally 1, 2, 3. I'm skipping 4. I have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way through the run.
Well, webs were slinging a year ago at $207 for a CGC 9.8. Now, the web cartridges have expired. I don't think she uses web's cartridges, but they expired.
She just shoot them out of her tips of her fingers,
right? Yeah. Tippies. $170. You can pick one up right now, 9.8. Range is $120 to $312. Average sale is $189. It's an 18% drop. There are 9.9s. Somewhat recent sale of $1,076 was sold for a 9.9. There is also a 10.0. There's only one. 10.0. Crazy. And 11 9.9s.
Damn. Ridiculous. There'll be more.
There's 10,150 total graded. 6,559 are 9.8s. That's 64% of total graded. That's a lot. I don't like to see that high of a number in a modern book because it might It makes it so the price won't go up as much because there's so many.
Nope.
But the demand could go up also. Cause
it could, yeah. I don't think it'll be a huge mega key like anytime soon just because there's way too many 9/8. But for people like me who want to get one, it's good. Sometimes, I like to pick that up for my collection.
I'm specking on this book. I would say it's always a good idea to get this book. I do think you should get a 9/8 because I just like looking at it in a slab. And this one particularly. Especially the Campbell's one. But anyways, yeah, I would pick this book up. It's a good book.
There you go. Okay. Let's jump over again. We'll stick with another Spider-Man book, but a different character. We got number 2 on the list, and this has been on the drop list, I think, at least a couple times before, but it's an important book to keep in the back of your mind, and I'll kind of explain that. This is Ultimate Fallout, issue number 4, 2011, and the cover's done by Mark Bagley, and the story by Brian Michael Bendis. There's a whole bunch of different artists that do, because that's like a breakup of like 4 different stories inside. It's like Clayton Crane does one and draws one of them. There's a couple others that are drawn by a few. Hickman does one of the stories inside as well as a couple other people. So if you've never read the inside of this, it's a bunch of different stories mixed together. And this book's important for a lot of different reasons. And one of the reasons we wanted to talk about it in this show is because it directly correlates the health of the market for modern books. So a lot of people will tell you that Hulk 181, if you're testing the market, it'll give you a good idea, like definitely what Bronze Age books are at or how the market's doing. If a Hulk 181's up or down or really down, then you kind of know that the market's not doing very well. And same with Ultimate Fallout 4. That's kind of the marker, at least in our opinion, the marker for modern books. So if Ultimate Fallout 4 is down, then modern books as a whole are kind of on the drop as well. And like I said, that can have a lot of positives or negatives. Because, if you're a collector and investor in comics and the market just craps, then you're going to kind of lose a lot of money. But also if you're looking to get books that you never thought were possible, this is a good time to buy them because there's a lot of things that, were way too expensive. Like Ultimate Fallout was I think at one point reached $5,000 in a 9/8 and is nowhere near that now. Crazy. So if you did want to get one, it might be, a much better idea. And will the market ever completely fall out? I don't think so. I don't see that happening. And for one important reason, if for some reason all the comics crash out, you know what I'm going to do? I'll go buy a bunch of AF-15s and Action 1s. And everyone else is going to have the same thought as well, which means it's not going to crash. Because everyone would do that. What I mean? Even if they go down to nothing, we're just all going to go buy them. And there's too many people that love comics, so I don't foresee that happening. It's just going to go in these waves. Some reason, some way, they'll go right back up to what they were before. Will they get back to that 2020 rise? I don't know. They probably will, though. They probably will. I don't see them going away. I don't see them. But let's get back, because we're talking about Ultimate Fallout 4. First appearance of Miles Morales. The new Spider-Man, I guess there's been a lot of new Spider-Mans, but the new Spider-Man of 2011, they always refer to him as the newer Spider-Man. And in this story in particular, it's just a little flash in the pan of what he is. He already has his powers. He's actually wearing the red and blue costume, the traditional one. And he just fights a random guy named Kangaroo. And it's kind of you can kind of tell that Bendis is here he is. Do you guys like him? And then they don't really give you much more. You don't get a backstory. You don't get anything else with him. You don't get any of that until Ultimate Spider-Man #1 when they give you his really good story. And as a huge fan of this character, and I've read pretty much everything he's been in, the original story is the best one. If you like this character as well, or you haven't read it, read the original run. It's so much better than anything that's coming out now. And I really do enjoy the current stuff, but nowhere near the original stuff because the strife and trials that Miles has to go through with his mom dying and just having to deal with Peter dying and getting the power and responsibility from that is so much bigger than what he deals with now, because in the 616, Peter's still alive and his mom is still alive and none of that happened to him, and it's kind of he's just kind of a happy-go-lucky kid, which is cool. Sometimes that's a good story to go with too, but I think all the stuff that happens is kind of important to the development of the character. Peter having his Uncle Ben dying and Gwen dying and all these stuff that shaped him into a cool character. It's kind of the same thing. Why is this book also important? Obviously, you have the Into the Spider-Verse series that came out, which is kind of leapfrog this into a massive key, and as the movie's sequential movies come out, getting tongue-tied, it kind of goes on this roller coaster of up and down, up and down. It's never really got back to its original glory, but it goes up and down a little bit. Sony did announce in last year, in June of 2023, that they have plans to make a live-action Miles Morales movie. God, I hope that doesn't happen. As much as I love this character, I don't really want to see that. The only way I want to see this character in a movie is if he takes over for Tom Holland in the MCU, and they would have to kill Tom Holland and have him take over from that point. I mean, that's the only way I'd want to see it happen. When he's done, they don't need to like go and kill him right now, but when he's like done being Spider-Man and they're like, hey, let's get another one, that would be the best way to do it. Keep an eye out. There's a lot of whole bunch of variants for this book. We got acetate garbage and some shattered covers and facsimiles and facsimiles of facsimiles, but the only ones worth looking at is probably the newsstand with the Black Panther thing on the bottom, as well as the Djevik 1 in 25. There's 2 second print ones that aren't bad as well. I recommend those as kind of a backup if you can't afford the real thing. But good book. I don't know. What are the numbers, Zach? What are the numbers of the Ultimate Fallout?
Well, it was the ultimate of the ultimates. Doesn't make any sense. All right. For CGC 9.8, it was $2,005. You could buy one a year ago.
Ooh.
Now, you can buy 2 of them for that price. It's $871 for a CGC 9.8. Range, $500 to as high as $2,100. Average sales, $1,395. It's a 56% drop. There's 18,494 total graded. 4,310 are CGC 9.8. So that's about 23% of total graded. So that actually hits on the sweet spot. So this could actually hold the value a little bit more than what one of those other books we talked about didn't. There's no 9.9s as of right now.
That's surprising.
Very surprising. Probably because it's an all dark kind of cover. You can see a spine tick from a mile away. Potentially, this is a really good buy right now. I think maybe it'll go down a little bit more, but as soon as it gets closer to the next Sony Edge of Spider-Verse, whatever the Spider-Verse movies it's going to come out, it's gonna jump back up. I could see this being a $2,000 book again pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, it might. That makes sense. It could go back up to 2,000, but I feel like it's sweet spot somewhere around like 1,200. It'll probably like balance out around that point, which is still crazy for a book from 2011 that has a decently high print run. People acted like it didn't at first, but it definitely has. There's a lot of them floating around, and you can kind of get them in all kinds of grades. Raw. There's still a bunch of raw ones out there that came in that poly bag. So cool book. I'm definitely going to be maybe on the lookout for a 9.8 this year. We'll have to see. All right. We thought we'd talk about DC for the number 1 book, and we didn't know this was going to be the number 1 book. I actually thought this was going to be like probably one of the least dropped. Fortunately, it's the most dropped because of all the Sean Gunn news and different DC books just taking off with the aspect of them being used as characters. So this one is a first to the show. Never been on the drop list before. Let's talk about it. Demon issue number 1. That's right, guys. Demon. We're talking Demon. 1972 Jack Kirby goodness. Written and drawn by the King Kirby himself. First appearance and origin of Etrin the Demon. And also Morgan Le Fay in the DC universe. She's also in the Marvel universe and the DC universe. And in the DC universe, Morgan Le Fay is the sister of who, Zach?
Arthur.
Madame Xanadu.
Oh, Madame Xanadu. I don't know. I didn't know.
Gotcha.
That was like Arthur.
Yeah, no, she is the sister of Madame Xanadu in the DC universe. So, cool thing, I did not know that much about demons, so Zach was like, find out about the demon, Etrin. And in this story, they explain, because the whole like King Arthur thing, it starts out in the past, hundreds of years ago, and King Arthur is like, and Merlin are worried that their city's going to be destroyed by Morgan Le Fay. She wants to get this book called the Eternal Book, which is going to help her live forever. So Merlin casts a spell and brings about Etrin the demon. And he's like, I need you to help me defeat Morgan Le Fay. Well, ultimately they lose, and the kingdom Camelot is destroyed.
Oh, wow.
And in the fight, Etrin's able to get one piece of the book of Eternal, which kind of helps him like stay eternal, I guess, stay forever.
Okay.
Fast forward to our time, which is actually the 70s, so not really our time, but in the 70s when the book came out. Etrin's still alive, and he's around, and he's actually a guy named Jason Blood, which is a cool character name. He's also been in a lot of DC stories as well. And at this point, he doesn't know he's Etrin the Demon, and who is also still alive? Morgan Le Fay, and she wants to get that last page of the Eternal book, and because she still wants to live forever, even though she seems to already be living forever. And they get in a scuffle. She's got some buddies that help fight against Etrin, and he stumbles across a gargoyle in this like basement area, and he's like, whoa, that looks crazy. And when he looks at it, he turns back into the demon. He was like a human guy, and then he turns back into the demon once again, which hasn't happened in like hundreds of years. And this is kind of like this is where his story takes off. And from this point forward, he can I think he bounces back between being a human and turning into the demon. And he's just used in like a whole bunch of stories going forward. Never been a major DC character, but, obviously created by Jack Kirby, and it's had some good stories along the way. A lot of people think that James Gunn is going to use this character. I think it'd be really smart. Period piece movies do really well. You could do almost like a Captain America type story with this and do half the movie in the past in Camelot time and then jump forward and finish it out and finish his origin and then just plop him right into another story and go forward. I don't know. There's my pitch for you right there.
I would think it's a good idea.
Right? And I don't know. Is it a good time to get Demon 1? Princess would think it is. She used to have this book, or maybe still does. She doesn't know. But it's a cool cover and it's a cool name. Jason Blood, man. That's a dope name.
So, Demon number 1 in a CGC 9.4 a year ago, it was all I actually don't want to say that word. And, anyways, $875 for a 9.4. Now you can pick it up for $366. Range is 366 to 875. Average sale is 579. It's a 58% drop. There was a 9.8 sale in 2019 for $4,263. It's hard to find a 9.8 again. Wow. There's 1,783 total graded, not that many. 21 of them are 9.8s. That's less than 1% of total graded. Fantastic book, great cover, done by the legend Jack Kirby. I would think this would be a great character for James Gunn to spin, because he always likes to take those characters that are kind of less known and then make them fully known, like Creature Commandos, kind of thing, or Guardians of the Galaxy, or I'm sure there's a number of other ones you could name off that I can't think of right now. But anyways, for 9.4 to get it for less than $400, I mean, that's a pretty good book for basically a Silver Age, Bronze Age. It's Bronze Age, really. Yeah. Almost Silver Age. But great price for that type of book with that significant key that could be much bigger later on. I mean, it's a great spec right now. And I would say...
The book of the month? What is it, Zach the Slab Master? Hit us with that knowledge.
Oh, man.
Be your knowledge.
So many good books.
Coco's ready.
I want to say if you could... I would pick it up in a mid-grade ASM 50. I think that would be a nice one. Getting Ultimate Fallout 4 for $871, not too bad, but I think it's going to drop a little bit more. ASM probably be the safe one. UF4 would probably be the, getting it right now, you might lose a little bit, but then it should go back up to that 1,200 to 2,000 range pretty soon. But ASM 50, I think, would be a classic pick.
Good long-term investment book, too. That's definitely, out of all these ones, that's a really good investment book.
Oh, yeah.
All right, guys, that's the drop list for the month of June. I think we got a little insight into the health of the comic book market. Definitely on the low right now, but like I said, I really don't feel like it's ever going to go away, at least not in our lifetime, not till I'm long gone after all that. So, grab the books you want. Get all the cool books you've never able to afford and buy them now. Now's the time. That's what we're all doing. Our collections have all grown massively with some really cool books. They may not be as expensive as they used to be, and you may not be able to hold a book and be like, this is a $400 book, because now it's a $100 book, but it's still cool. You still got it. If you love comics as much as we do, that's all that matters. So now all you got to do is a huge favor. Hit the like button for the princess. She did this show for you guys, so all you gotta do is do that for her. Subscribe to the channel so you always get this awesome content that we're putting out. Check us out on Wednesday. We do a live show. You can hang out with the Gaines family. We go over New Comic Book Day. We review the books that are coming out for the week, things you should be looking at. And what else, Zach?
Yeah, yes, sure. How you do that is you have to get the rings. The Green Lantern rings, get the ring, guy. The Super Bowl ring. Let's get so many rings and put out like, yeah. And when people ask you about it, you say you're like, I just like rings. I'm the Mandarin. I like all the rings of power. Oh, the one ring.
Yeah.
Oh.
What if you just wore all the special rings from the one ring, Green Lantern's ring. What are the other good rings?
I think that's about it.
The ring.
The ring. All right, that's how you get those gains.
All right, guys.
Every single
Until we see you next time, stay safe and remember.
Get those gains, every single one.
Yeah.